Today I would like to talk to you about the law of Mount Everest. That's law number 4 in the law of teamwork. And the law of Mount Everest says, as the challenge escalates, the need for teamwork elevates. In fact, in your notes, I want to make sure you get this. This law is about gathering and growing a team to accomplish something big. This is a law about gathering your team and growing your team so that you can do a Mount Everest project. Now, let me apply the law of Mount Everest this way. If you're just going to climb a hill, now we're doing this taping today in Atlanta, and Atlanta's got a few hills. It's got Stone Mountain. It's not a big mountain. I mean, I suppose in about an hour and a half, if you want to, you can climb it. If you want to go climb Stone Mountain, you can do that on your own. Isn't that true? You know, just put on your sneakers, put on your jogging outfit, your shorts or whatever, and go over there and just start at the bottom. And about an hour and a half later, you'll be at the top of Stone Mountain. So if you want to climb Stone Mountain, you can do that on your own. In fact, can I tell you something? You don't need a team. You don't need to look around and say, you know what? Today I'm going to climb Stone Mountain. And I think I need you to come along, and we need to get some ropes. And no. If you're going to climb Stone Mountain, you can do that on your own. But the law of Mount Everest says, if you're going to climb Mount Everest, if you're going to tackle something really big, you're going to have a team. And you're not only going to have to gather a team, you're going to have to grow a team. You're not going to have to get people around you. See, if you're going to climb Mount Everest, if I'm going to climb Mount Everest, if I'm going to climb Mount Everest, I don't just go to any group and say, hey, gang, I'm going to fly over and climb Mount Everest, and I want you to be on my team. Now, that's not the way you do it. I may not want them on the team. I mean, hello? What's your name? Ron. Ron may not like heights. That's a drawback. So if I'm going to climb Mount Everest, it's just not like getting people together. It's getting the right people together. So it's not only gathering a team, it's also growing a team. Now, the law of Mount Everest begs for 3 questions. Question number 1. What is my dream? You got to start there. And let me just say this, for some of you in the room, some of you watching this training video on teamwork, for some of you, you don't need to go to number 2 or 3. Because your dream is so small, it's not Mount Everest. You follow me? It's kind of like exist. Breathe. See. Walk. So if you don't have a big goal or a big dream, you don't need to fill in the next 2 things. But you got to ask yourself, what is my dream? That's the first Mount Everest question that you have to ask yourself. Do I have a little dream? Do I have a big dream? Do I have an impossible dream? What kind of dream do I have? Okay, that's question number 1. Question number 2 is, who's on my team? Once I have established what my dream is, the next important question is, who's on my team? For example, let's go back to my illustration a moment ago. Let's say I'm going to climb Mount Everest. That's really my dream. I want to climb Mount Everest. Okay. And Ron here, I bring him on my team, and he doesn't like heights. He not only doesn't like heights, he's now telling me he doesn't like cold weather. And then he says, you know, John, I'm not trying to add problems to this issue, but I also am quite clumsy. Now, the reason I'm having fun here is, you see, if you've got a Mount Everest dream, you have to understand, you've got to answer the question, who's on my team? I know people who have a Mount Everest dream, and they've got a Disneyland team. Are you with me? You see, if your team is not the team it needs to be, your dream will never be accomplished. That's why many times people say, oh, if you just have a dream, you're going to go to the top. Oh, if you just get a dream, you got a dream. And, you know, they put their dream on the refrigerator or wherever it is. Can I tell you something? Take it off. Some of you don't have a dream, you're just smoking something. The question you got to ask yourself is not what my dream is. The question is, do I have a team that can get me to the dream? If you don't have a team that can get you to the dream, you're in trouble. So when you've got this Mount Everest challenge in front of you, you ask yourself, what is my dream? And then you ask yourself, who's on my team? And then you ask a very important third question. That is, what should my dream team look like? And question number 3, the one we just dealt with, answered and fulfilled correctly, makes question number 1 a reality. When I can answer and fulfill what my dream team should look like, then I'm going to accomplish my dream. The number 1 reason people never accomplish their dream is not because it's not real. I wouldn't want to make fun of anybody. You know what? The saddest thing to me is that people every day die with the dream still inside. That's sad. But the reason they did not accomplish the dream is not because it wasn't a good dream or not because it wasn't even for them. They didn't accomplish the dream because they never built a team around them. So, how do you develop a dream team? If you've got a Mount Everest dream, how do you put together a Mount Everest team? Number 1, know what leaders look like. If you're going to develop a dream team, you want to bring a high caliber of leader on your team. So you've got to know what a leader looks like. Now, everywhere I teach leadership, people ask me the question all the time. They'll say, John, how do I find a leader? And it's a good question because leaders aren't hard to find. They're hard to find. Isn't that true? I mean, non-leaders, they're not hard to find. They're everywhere. I mean, that's why, turkeys flock. Eagles, you got to find them one at a time. So if I told you leave the studio and go out and find a leader, it'd take you a while. So what does a leader look like? And you can't find a leader until you know what a leader looks like. When I go to the airport many times, if where I'm speaking or whom I'm speaking to, they know me by reputation, but they've never seen me. It's interesting, the pickup at the airport. Because there are basically 2 kinds of people that pick me up. First of all, there's the person who is at the airport, and what they do is they get a piece of paper, something like this, and they'll scribble my name on it, and they'll be in the crowd with Mr. Maxwell, you know what I mean, John Maxwell. They'll have this thing up here, and basically that kind of person basically says, I'm standing in the crowd. Here's your name. Find me. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I don't look hard. Sometimes I just go straight to a taxi. Go to my hotel and say, I'm in my room, you find me. In other words, there are some people, when they're looking for me, they put my name on a piece of paper, and basically they say, it's your responsibility to find me. Isn't that true? Now there are other people, when they come and pick me up at the airport, they're not like that at all. What they are is they'll be in the crowd, all right, but they'll have a book, maybe of mine, that has my picture. And hopefully it's a recent book. and what they'll do is they'll have the book open, and they'll have my picture there. And they'll be standing kind of right on the edge of the crowd where the passengers are coming out, and they'll be looking at this picture, and they'll be looking at people coming off the plane, and they'll be doing this number. And all of a sudden they'll smile, and they see me. You know what I'm saying? They say, hey, hi, and they'll introduce themselves, and they grab hold of me. Now, you know what? That kind of person, they say, I'm responsible to find you. 2 types of people. Now, what I'm saying to you is if you're going to develop a dream team, let me tell you what will never happen to you. Dream teams will not come to you. Don't stand on the corner and say, here I am. Here I am. Come one, come all. Here I am. Find me. Opportunity is sitting right here. No. If you're going to develop a dream team, you've got to go out and get them. And let me just say 3 things about leaders. 1, leaders are hard to find because there's not an abundance of them. In fact, I've never seen an abundance of leaders anywhere. When I speak for companies and corporations all over America, I have never gone to the president or CEO of a company and had them look at me and say, John, we're delighted you're here. We do have a problem. What's the problem? Well, we have too many leaders in this organization. We have too many great leaders. My goodness, we're just loaded up with leaders, and we have a leadership glut in our organization. Never have I found that. Why? Every organization I know, every business I know, every government agency I know, every church I know, they don't have enough leaders. Why? Leaders are hard to find. Not only are they hard to find, leaders are hard to gather. Once you find them, it's not easy to gather those people. Why? Because they have their own mind. They have their own agenda. So you go over to a leader. What's your name, sir? Jimmy. I go over to Jimmy and I say, Jimmy, come on, join my team. Now, if Jimmy's a leader, Jimmy just doesn't jump in line. Hut 2, 3, 4, hut 2, 3, 4, hut 2, 3. You know, Jimmy, he doesn't even move. He's a leader. He looks at me and says, he starts asking me questions. He says, where are you going? How long are you going to be there? What you going to do when you get there? Can I drive? Why? Because Jimmy is a leader. So they're not only hard to find, they're hard to gather. Now, followers, they're easy to find and they're easy to gather. In fact, if you're just moving, followers just get in line. Where are you going? Beats me. When you coming back? Don't have a clue. What's your goal? Hope there's a water fountain at the end of the line. Leaders are hard to find, leaders are hard to gather, and thirdly, leaders are hard to keep. You don't keep leaders. I mean, they just don't hang around, especially if you're bad. Leaders don't wait around for your day to come. If you're making it happen, if you're going somewhere and you're doing something, they're on the team. But I mean, the moment it gets a little plateauish and the moment it gets a little bit slack, they're out of there. Isn't that true? So, develop a dream team. You've got to know what a leader looks like. You've got to be able to see them coming. How many times have we looked at opportunity and it's passed us, and as soon as it passes us, we say, oh my goodness, I wish I would have done that. Now, why is it we're so good when opportunity passes? It's very simple. We didn't know what it looked like when it was coming. If you want to develop a dream team, number 2, you have to show potential leaders how to lead. In other words, you have to model leadership for them. You see, I found out a long time ago, we teach what we know, but we reproduce what we are. That's why I always say a leader develops a leader. A non-leader doesn't develop leaders. Takes one to know one, takes one to grow one, takes one to show one. So you want to model leadership. People do what people see. And thirdly, if you really want to develop a dream team, you need to grow leaders through training. You need to spend time growing the people around you. Let me explain it this way. The most appreciable asset that you have in your company are the players around you. And as you look at your team, as you evaluate your team, what you want to do more than anything else is you want to train your people, you want to believe in your people. In fact, I've always said, put a 10 on their head. Put a 10 on their head. Communicate to them like they're a 10. Treat them like they're a 10. Believe in them like they're a 10. Put a 10 on their head. Because here's what I want you to know. The people on your team have potential to grow. In fact, let me say this as a leader. If the people on your team today are the same that they were last year, you haven't done your job. And to all the team players, I want to say this to you. If you're the same today as you were a year ago, you haven't done your job. Does that make sense? Now, the law of Mount Everest says when you have this humongous goal or dream in front of you, the need for teamwork escalates as the challenge elevates. The law of Mount Everest says the bigger the challenge, the better the team. So what you do is you don't go after the big dream first. You go off of you start developing the team first. And as they're capable, then you go after the big dream. Love this story. It's a Mount Everest story, but it'll work real good here. A true story of a guide who took a team to go to the top of Mount Everest, got in a major storm. They got about 2/3 of the way up, had to go back down. And obviously, because everybody flew in, great expense, great training, a lot of time and effort, everybody was disappointed. So the guide, knowing the disappointment of the team and knowing they didn't get to the top, said, before we go home tomorrow, we'll have dinner at the lodge tonight. And they had dinner. And it was kind of a somber mood. The people were, they were just disappointed. And so after their meal together, and it was kind of a low-key evening, the guide stood up in front of them and said, before we leave, he said, I want to share something with you. Now, right behind him on the wall in this lodge was a major picture of Mount Everest. In fact, it was as big as the wall. And as he was addressing the people that didn't make it to the top, he turned his back to them and he looked at this picture. And he began to talk to Mount Everest. And here's what he said. He said, Mount Everest, I want to say something to you tonight. We tried to climb to the top. We tried to conquer you. And we failed. We had to come back down. Mount Everest, I want you to know today you defeated us. But Mount Everest, I want to say something else. We're coming back again next year. And Mount Everest, I want you to know when we come back next year and endeavor to climb to your top next year, I want you to know that we will defeat you next year, Mount Everest. And let me tell you why. Because Mount Everest, you're as big as you're ever going to get. But the people on this team, we can get bigger. And that's the law of Mount Everest. Gather your team and grow your team. And then take on that big dream and go all the way to the top.